There is no doubt in any person's mind that Vin's arc is about trust. Am I right? After all, the final empire was all about having Vin trust her teammates to overthrow the Lord Ruler. But then comes the Well of Ascension and Vin is gone full on paranoid again. What happened to her growth in the first book? Though it can be there sometimes, why has Vin regressed? And yes, old habits die hard, but doesn't a second book on trust seem a little repetitive? Hi, I'm Samitha, and today we'll be diving into Vin's arc in the Well of Ascension to explore this very question I had. Why is Vin struggling to trust this time around when she had seemingly overcome it? Honestly, part of me still wonders why Vin had to double down on her lessons learned, but I think her arc in this installment has a different flavor than before, and that's why I want to go over it. Partly because I found it interesting and partly because I need to justify Vin's arc to myself. A word of warning though, spoilers ahead. I will divide this discussion into two parts, the why and the how. Let's go over the why first. Why does Vin have to go through the same painstaking arc? We know since the very beginning of the Well of Ascension that Vin is conflicted with her identity. She wonders if she's the same street urchin she has always been or if she has morphed into a noble woman because of her context. She's a street urchin in the sense that she's bound to her past. Doesn't care about dresses or status, just the myths and her freedom, all while being tormented by her horrible history and her duties at present. However, the context suggests that Vin is something more. Vin is a king's lover. She is the one who killed the Lord Ruler. She is the lady heir of the one who succeeds Kelsier. She's no regular Ska. It could be that she was a noble woman, simply by association. The king himself loved her, had asked her to marry him, and she had been trained by the survivor of Hassan. Indeed, her father had been noble, even if her mother had been Ska. There is no mistaking that Vin is no ordinary Ska, not a normal person at all either. Yet she is torn between both those identities and the duties that she now has to Elend as his unofficial assassin. Part assassin, part bodyguard, part noblewoman, part confused, quiet girl. She goes back and forth, unable to understand herself. And with the siege going on and the demons being something she worries about in addition, she feels like she can't give herself the luxury to trust that everything will turn out alright. Or heck, trust that she's got this at all. So, this time around, if you notice, she isn't shoved into a band of thieves where trust is her main tool of survival. Now she is in a totally different world that expects a different person. Someone Vin is absolutely not. And how is she not a fit? For starters, she embodies the remnants of the old world. She thinks that kings should be despots, as the Lord Ruler was, and use every tool available to maintain power. No matter what the means, the ends are justified if it leads to survival. Obviously, she's not encouraging Ellen to become the Lord Ruler, but she thinks Ellen simply being a good person is enough, which it isn't. Then, Ellen comes and shows her that it isn't mere survival that counts, it's also how it's done. But Vin is the unofficial assassin, bodyguard. She could just be the solution to all of Ellen's problems, except he's adamant that he doesn't want her methods. AKA, he doesn't need her. According to Vin, at least. So, Vin is pushed towards change, not because she has to survive, but because she wants to build on something she already has. But lack of trust is not a pillar that builds, rather the opposite. And there comes Zane. He's the person who offers a little freedom from that chaos, sparing sessions without having to worry about Ellen's future, her friend's fate due to the siege, or the bad omens the Lord Ruler professed. She doesn't even have to deal with herself or who she needs to become. He's that comfortable place she doesn't quite want to leave. Vin can be what's easiest, not what she needs to become. It would be, in her words, freedom. Of course, Zane's version of freedom, which he offers Vin, carries some other meaning that Vin's does not, as he wants to be free to fulfill his own desires, and Vin wants to be free to be able to be who she thought that she was supposed to be, the hero of ages. The difference being that Zane's version of freedom is a selfish desire, and Vin's selfless, as the prophecy states that the hero of ages must give the power away. A subtle but powerful difference. Vin has to change in order to build, not in order to survive. Now, how does she manage to change? Perhaps it came down to decision. Rashek, the Lord Ruler, had been forced to make a decision too. He could have continued as he was, the pastoral villager. He would have probably had a happy life with his people. But he had decided to become something more. She had to decide. Elend was the one she wanted to be with. He represented peace, happiness. Zane, however, represented what she felt she had to become, for the good of everyone involved. Is it clear now? The how is very simple. Choose who you want to be. This is a trigger for Vin's trust. The idea that she simply has to choose to trust those around her and her decisions, their ideas, all summed up in Elend and the world he represents. Just replace Elend's name with whoever's, and that's what Vin's lesson is. You must love him enough to trust his wishes, even if you disagree with them. You must respect him, no matter how wrong you think he may be. No matter how poor you think his decisions, you must respect his desire to make them, even if one of them includes loving you. After Sazed's advice, she learns to trust her judgment, trust Elend and his choices, not only towards Luthadel, but regarding his love for her as well. Trusts her crew is her crew, and trusts the prophecy. The beautiful part of his storyline is how OreSeur, or TenSoon, symbolized that trust. He gave himself to Vin fully, so much so that he sacrificed his own agency, just so he could protect Vin, because he trusted her and her motives. And that is what Vin ultimately does. She starts trusting not only her choices, but other people's too, for the sake of the new world she's building with Elend. That's why she was creepily walking towards the Well of Ascension in the end, because she saw no reason to distrust Sazed and herself, no reason to distrust Elend's choice of approaching the Mist Spirit either. And I don't know if anyone else found it creepy, but there was something unsettling about the confidence Vin displayed in that moment. I think there might be something regarding this in book 3, but that's neither here nor there. Vin's arc has a twist compared to book 1, so it isn't about trusting because it will help you survive, but trust because through it, there's a chance to build a different world. And it all relies on a choice you yourself have to make. Irrespective of how I enjoyed the book and how cool I think trusting is, I don't think a choice here is enough. But what do you think? Am I being too harsh on Sanderson? And on another note, am I missing something about Vin's arc? If you've got anything to add to the discussion, please leave it in the comments. Alright, see you when I see you. Bye bye.